You're listening to Bring Me the Axe. I'm Brian White, one half of this morbid equation, and I'm joined by my co-host and brother, Dave White. Hey, Dave, how you doing?
Thank you for asking. It's been pretty hot here. You remember when you're like in elementary school and it would be really hot out and the teacher would just like turn the lights off as though that was somehow a solution to that problem? Like what?
I do.
What kind of Victorian era bullshit was that? That doesn't do anything.
That's like some. I bet you that's just like a New England thing where it's
I thought the same thing.
Like, all right, everybody, we're gonna close the blinds. We're gonna close the blinds because like we do that, and then we're gonna shut all the appliances off when a thunderstorm comes so we don't get electrocuted.
Man, well, I don't know if it worked, but I have air conditioning, so I don't know. That solves my problem. I'm not gonna turn the lights. I'm gonna turn all the fucking lights on. Is what I'm gonna do, and the air conditioner.
Just burn them forests.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah, I'm done with fucking summer, dude. This is some bullshit. It's been like 100 degrees every goddamn day and I'm sick of it. I'm a large person and I do not handle the heat very
Look,
well.
I'm not a large person and I also do not handle the heat very well, but we have central AC now and I try not to use it a lot cuz it seems a little wasteful, but goddamn if that's not the greatest thing ever.
Oh yeah, I agree. Got it myself, and I'll turn it on even if I don't have to.
Yeah, it's the first time I've lived in like a fancier building. And, fancy is a relative term, but if fancy means it has central AC and maybe an ice maker in the refrigerator. Mine does not. It does not, and so it can't be that fancy. No.
No, all right.
Gotta make ice by hand like a goddamn savage.
You go up to the frozen north and you cut it out of the lake and you bring it back on a sled.
I do, and then I'm real hot, so I have to turn all the lights off.
Right. Yeah. Hey, we practically grew up in neighborhood video stores, and the steady diet of utter garbage that those shops provided us with continues unabated to this day. There's no one else I enjoy chopping it up with more about trashy movies than Dave. Just before we get into it, here's a little housekeeping. If you want to keep up with us between episodes, you can also find us on Instagram at Bring Me the Axe Pod, and Dave's over there at That Queerwolf. Mm-hmm. It's fun.
Yeah, we're fun.
I
mean,
we're fun. We have fun, and we got some good followers, people who like playing games with us. Mm-hmm. We got a good one going on right now. I'm also over on TikTok doing the dances,
doing the hustle and the bump and the chicken.
Yeah. The funky chicken.
all the new dances.
The stuff that the kids are into.
People must love my real topical relevant references. Yeah, you got Welcome Back, Kotter. You got dances from the 70s.
Yeah. If you do that sort of thing, look us up by name. We're easy to find. And if you don't know, we have another show called 99 Cent Rental where we cover all manner of video store madness on the weeks that Bring Me the Axes off. Our latest episode covering John Carpenter's formative Assault on Precinct 13 is out now, and we'll be back next week with a look at the depths of the Canon Group's depravity, Masters of the Universe.
Yeah, mistakes were made on that one.
Oh, yes. I would say that was the movie that really kind of ruined everything for them. Yep. You can also contact us directly at bringmetheaxepod@gmail.com with any questions, comments, or suggestions. Do let us know if there's a movie that you love and would like to hear us give it the business. And lastly, if you like what you hear, you can subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. We're on YouTube now. Search for us by name and subscribe if you prefer to consume your podcast that way. And you'd be doing us a favor by leaving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And also don't hesitate to tell your friends.
Yes, do.
Because you probably got friends who also like scary movies. So, maybe they like podcasts too. Maybe
I make all my friends listen to this podcast. I don't think they actually do. I know 2 of them do, but I don't think the rest of them do.
That's very nice of them, though. The rest of them can fuck themselves, but, Yep. And if you listen on YouTube, do us a favor, give the episode a like, and leave a comment. We love hearing from you guys. I just want to get that all out of the way because, God damn it, here's a taste of what we're talking about tonight.
So the boy and girl are making out, right? When they hear over the radio that this lunatic killer's escaped from an insane asylum.
That's not the way it goes. The boy goes for help, and the girl stays in the car, and she hears this, scratching sound.
No, he's been decapitated. No, he was gutted with a hook. Mary! What's wrong with you? Watch out! Oh, my God.
You think he's dead?
We can't just leave him here.
Oh, tell me, little Miss Prelaw, what's the charge for manslaughter? make a pact. Right here and now we take this to our grave.
For the last year, 4 friends have kept a secret.
Are you on drugs?
No.
Well, then what is wrong? I've had a rough year.
But not all secrets stay buried.
Somebody sent this to me.
Oh my God. Someone knows.
I know what you did last summer. Ooh.
What they thought would be a new beginning
Toast to us.
is becoming a dead end.
Somebody tried to kill you last night. We have to go to the police.
If he wanted me dead, he could have done it.
And the mistake they made
It was an accident.
There was no accident. It was murder.
What if he's still alive?
Hey!
What are you doing here?
is coming back to haunt them.
Oh my God.
He's after me too. I got a letter. I got run over. Helen gets her hair chopped off. Julie gets a body in a trunk and you get a letter? That's balanced.
She's waiting for us to unravel.
The wait is over.
What are you waiting for, huh? What are you waiting for?
What you did last summer.
This movie.
All right. Explain yourself, mister. Why are we watching this movie?
So, I thought, well, we were going to do this around July 4th.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And as it happens, things got bumped around on the schedule a little bit. Something got moved. This just got pushed back. And, the schedule, we fuck with it from time to time. And neither of us noticed that this was still on the schedule, but not on July 4th. And so when I finally did catch it, I was like, fuck it. Let's just do it. The people, they like a 90s film. I occasionally like a 90s film. This movie is hot fucking garbage, though. And I had forgotten how real stupid it is.
It's, so I had forgotten that I had even seen it. I remember that this movie came out like right before I moved to Florida to go to school. And so when we got down there, like almost right off the bat, there was a day that like shit was just going haywire in our apartment, and they kicked us out so they could like fix a whole bunch of shit. So me and my roommate had to like basically find something to do in a city that we knew absolutely nothing about. And so like naturally we were just like, I don't know, why don't we just go to the movies?
They were like, well, we could go to Disney World, or we could go to Universal Studios, or we could go to literally anywhere else, but you went to the movies instead.
Well, those two places were wildly expensive even back then. And, we were just university students. So we had very limited, like this was like a real dry season for movies. And like, I remember we went to two matinees back to back. And the first one that we saw was that fucking Bruce Willis movie, The Jackal, where he plays an assassin.
That's rough.
The only thing I remember about it is that Jack Black gets his arm blasted off in it. And then we saw this, and I had forgotten about it almost immediately. Like I was such a shitty hipster about horror movies at this time, because I was like up to my eyeballs and like tape trading and shit, and like I was really getting into like exotic stuff from overseas. So like, why the fuck did I want to go and see some teenage slasher movie?
They were like, play Eaten Alive instead. And they were like, shut up.
I was like, give me Bloody Moon. And they're like, we don't play that here.
They should, though.
Not that Jess Franco shit. Yeah. So when I came out of it, it just was like, well, that was a waste of like $10. So, okay.
I think I saw this in the theater. I don't remember when I'm pretty sure I saw it in the theater. I was probably a junior in high school.
This one lands right at the sort of at the rising of the kind of post-Scream boom. Like I think this was the first movie that I think they really rushed into production.
It is, because they made this at the same time they were making Scream 2.
Yeah. So
now I think all you need to know about this movie, this will tell you everything you need to know, is Kevin Williamson pitched this movie before he pitched Scream, and everybody passed on it. And then Scream was a huge fucking success, and they snapped up everything he had. Mm-hmm. They didn't want it before, then he was successful, and then they took it with very little edits. That tells you how good it is. Now, I will say this. I think my biggest among which we're gonna fucking God, we're probably gonna get eaten alive by the fucking listeners again for just being shitty about this movie. I'll tell you what though, I don't dislike this. This is a fun movie to watch when you're not paying attention to it.
My problem with it is it's so tedious. I'll save it. I've got a lot of problems with this movie. I don't
it's
really
very
think it's
badly
fun,
written.
But I definitely enjoyed it a little bit more on my second viewing for some reason. So I don't know. You want to let's get into it and then we can sort of like labor and agonize about it.
Okay.
All right. So the year was 1997, year of our Lord. Mm-hmm. So here's some other movies that came out that year. Event Horizon came out in 1997. That's a movie that I like. It's not
Wait,
good.
is that the Sam Neill movie?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that movie's fucking terrible.
That's the haunted spaceship movie.
Yeah, there was a big a lot of those like ghost ship and all that like weird bullshit at the end of the 90s. I kind of lump that in with those.
I like that one quite a bit.
That's Hellraiser in space.
Yeah, basically.
It's that video
where like
game,
they warp through space, but like the warp is basically hell.
Okay, yeah. Very sexy.
Yeah. It's unfortunately that one got absolutely fucking butchered for an R rating. So like all the good stuff's on the cutting room floor. An American Werewolf in Paris also came out in 1997. Yeah,
swinging for the fences there, horror.
Yeah, I saw it, but I don't remember it.
I think I've seen it. I don't remember anything. I'm pretty sure I've seen it though.
I can't remember if it's that one that they lost all of the CGI footage for of the wolves, and so they used stuff from Spawn, or maybe Spawn was the one that lost all of its CGI stuff, so they used CGI wolf stuff in it.
Well, Spawn is a very bad movie.
It is. I have no love for that one. Also in 97, Scream 2, which we mentioned.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one.
Solid movie, not bad. On the other hand, Wishmaster came out that year too.
Ooh. That is not a good movie.
Wishmaster was like everywhere. Everybody was like, "This is gonna be fucking great." It was all over.
Why would they think that?
Shit.
I watched that a couple of months ago, and
it's so bad, dude. It's so bad.
Like it's not even fun to watch. It's that bad.
No, and you know what? Also, like, there's something about the makeup on Andrew Divoff in it that is so off-putting. Like, even just when he's like his normal self, not when he's the Djinn. It's weird. It's so fucking weird. And also, we'll close it out with another real piece of shit. The Night Flyer came out in 1997. Because that was another one that all
not
like
gonna
the horror...
go to bat for it, but it's not as bad as you think it is.
Okay, because all the horror rags were like, "This is fucking awesome. Stephen King is back, baby."
Oh, it's a stupid story. It's based on a stupid story, and it's a stupid movie, but it is stupid in a way that's kind of fun.
All right, I do like fun stupid. So maybe I'll have to go back and watch it, like if I'm hard up for something. Cast and crew. We got a director named Jim Gillespie, who hasn't done a lot of work before or since. I Know What You Did,
and watching the movie, I think I know why.
Watching the movie, I can sort of understand why. Prior to this feature, he directed a few made-for-TV projects for the BBC, and following this, he directed the totally forgotten Stallone horror movie Detox.
Mm-hmm. He also did. He made Venom, some like shitty serial killer supernatural movie. For a guy who says he didn't like horror movies, because he's one of those, he seemed to go. I'm sure that's probably all he got offered after this. I'm surprised he got offered anything after this. To be quite honest with you,
Venom was supposed to be like another Kevin Williamson home run, and it fucking tanked. Like,
did he make Kevin Williamson?
I believe that's one of his scripts. Yeah.
Wow.
And it didn't even pull in $1 million in box office. Like it was that. Like when I saw it in his credits, I was like, oh, that's right, Venom. And I had to make sure that it wasn't like the Spider-Man thing.
No,
no, it's not. Since there's really not much to say about our director, may as well mention our writer Kevin Williamson. I was going to save him for a future episode of the pod, but fuck it. Kevin Williamson was a major darling of the late 90s, writing a script called Scream. It was actually called Scary Movie at the time, which ends up the subject of a Hollywood bidding war, which buys him a lot of goodwill around town. This leads to creating one of the most iconic teen soaps of all time, Dawson's Creek, further Scream sequels, and The Faculty before things cooled a bit for him.
Oh, they heated back up, though.
Oh, yes, it did, because he comes back with The Vampire Diaries,
Yeah.
which was like a massive CW thing.
Now, listen, have I seen the first 4 or 5 seasons of that? Yes, I have.
So have I.
Did I watch the spin-off series? I sure did.
so
Both
did
of
I.
That shit is real dumb, and I loved it. I think I watched it during the like early pandemic when I was just like, I need something real fucking stupid, and that show is real fucking stupid.
Man, it delivers, but yeah. Yep. So, this script in particular had been, I think, been kicking around since either the early 90s or the late 80s. Like, he got into town with a couple of things. And like you'd mentioned, it got to the different studios, and they were all like, no thanks, we're good.
Yeah. I mean, and again, but at the time, slashers, horror in general, but particularly slashers, had really fallen out of favor.
Yeah, like we've mentioned this a little bit, and I think this might be a good opportunity to really talk about it. The 90s was a horror movie desert. Yeah,
terrible. And I don't care what anybody says. I know people are real hot on Rediscovery right now. Those movies are fucking terrible.
It's a bad decade for horror. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that it was the Bill Clinton decade, and there was no Cold War, and there was no social anxiety. Everybody was feeling.
Yeah, people were feeling pretty good. Well, I don't know about pretty good. I mean, we still had problems. We still had an AIDS crisis. We still had financial issues occasionally. But in general, when it seems, this is going to sound crazy, that when the Democrats are in charge fully, people feel okay. Now, that seems to have a deleterious effect on art, though.
It definitely does.
Because the 90s, as much as I think people who were, came of age in the 90s, and I'm one of them, look back and they're like, oh, the 90s was so great. The 90s really weren't great. And this movie, I think, is a perfect encapsulation of why that is. But they are bland. They are incredibly white. And very, very boring, and nobody had figured anything out yet. The soundtrack to this movie, I think, is also illustrative of that.
It really is, because after 94 and Kurt Cobain died, there was a weird sort of pop culture shift that happened. Before that, when Nirvana was all the rage, music had a very specific style. It was the only thing that was accepted was anything that was grunge flavored. And then he died, and the fucking wind went out of the sails of the whole thing. And so the second half of the decade is just pop culture really kind of trying to find itself. Yeah. And they're just throwing everything at the fucking wall.
They're trying to figure out what's cool. And when it comes to stuff like this movie, they just put one of everything on there. And it is all over the place in a way that is so weird.
Yeah. So let's talk about our cast for a second.
Aye.
So our cast, I'm going to do all 4 of them instead of my usual 3 because, it feels weird to leave one of them out. We got our star, Jennifer Love Hewitt, who I think her actual birth name is Love Hewitt. I seem to recall that.
Well, she was on Kids Incorporated.
Kids Incorporated was her.
And I remember, I can't remember, but it is some variation of that. It's either Jennifer Love or Love Hewitt or something like that. Yeah, it's
because the guy who plays the killer in this, in interviews that I read with him, and he's really precious about this movie and about the cast. He constantly calls her Love. He doesn't call her Jennifer.
Okay.
So yep. So she comes in through the Disney Channel. She's a singer and a dancer and an actress. Ends up breaking through on Party of Five, which featured another Kevin Williamson darling, Neve Campbell. And this movie gave her a lot of momentum going forward into the aughts, landing her on the extremely successful mystery show, The Ghost Whisperer. And I guess she's coming back for next year's I Know What You Did reboot.
There's a thing we needed.
Oh, I know. I was shocked to find out how many times that this fucking movie has sort of resurrected itself.
Yeah.
After her, we got Freddie Prinze Jr., one of the many minor league 90s boys. He's a son of Chico and the Man 70s superstar Freddie Prinze. Freddie Jr. pops up in a couple of well-known teen titles like She's All That, before making a splash as Fred in the Scooby-Doo movies. And then shortly after that, he ends up doing a lot of creative work for the WWE, which was a surprise to me.
Oh yeah, he's a huge wrestling fan.
I did not know this. Yep, he was writing and producing segments for them, in that super popular Attitude era. So that was a good place to be. Nowadays, he bags the occasional acting gig. does a good deal of voice work, and hosts some podcasts. One of them over on our friends Morbid Network.
Yeah, he's on the Morbid Network, so tread lightly.
Yep. Sarah Michelle Gellar is also in this, who was having one hell of a 1997. She'd been acting as early as the early 80s, but this year alone, she stars in this movie, has a small part in Scream 2, and Buffy the Vampire Slayer premiered.
Never heard of it.
I don't know how you have a much better year as an actress.
Yeah, that is a banner year. And I'm gonna tell you what, I think she's pretty great in this.
She is definitely my favorite character.
She is the standout in this movie.
For sure, yeah. A few years later, after appearing in Scooby-Doo, she marries her co-star, Freddie Prinze Jr. Mm-hmm. And they're still married. Yeah. And lastly, rounding it out, we got Ryan Phillipe, yet another minor league 90s boy, where the Hollywood cute boy thing tends to be a bit of an albatross around the necks of a lot of these guys. Phillipe seems to shake it off and ends up in more serious Hollywood fare than you would expect. A couple of years later, he shows up again with Sarah Michelle Gellar in Cruel Intentions. Ooh. Unfortunately, following his breakup with his then-wife, Reese Witherspoon, a pattern of seriously violent behavior emerges involving several of his exes. So I guess steer clear of Ryan Phillipe if you ever see him, because he might punch you or push you down the stairs or something. Yep.
Hey, life's hard. You know,
it's tough to be a pretty boy in Hollywood.
It's tough to be Ryan Phillipe. That's a t-shirt. That's a t-shirt right there. Not one that I would wear, but it is one somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere out there in TeePublic. There, we got taglines. We got one tagline. There's a lot on the IMDb page. I have only ever
I
really
refuse to believe any of those are real.
I have only seen one on all of the different variants of the posters.
Well, there were actually two.
Okay, I'm going to give you one, and then if you can fill in the blank on the other one, I'll you go for it. So here we go. If you're going to bury the truth, make sure it stays buried.
Oh, yeah, that's good. That's good.
That's not bad. It's not bad. Sums it up.
Yeah, there is another one that not all secrets stay buried, but there is a third one then, and that is from the creator of Scream comes a terrifying new experience that won't die. That didn't last long, though, because Miramax said, hey, get that shit off your marketing collateral right now.
I want to know why, because nothing is untrue about that statement, unless their objection was it implies that Columbia owned Scream.
Either that or it implies more than just Kevin Williamson is involved. Because one could argue that Wes Craven is also the creator of Scream. I mean, not truly, but the implication is there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just thought it's kind of funny that they were like, hey, that's mine.
I know. The thing is like, it cannot be overstated what a revelation Scream was. And so I think that movie was made on something small, like $10 million or like $15 million. And it comes up to in just domestic box alone, like $200 million, which was fucking nuts for the 90s.
Yeah. I mean, this movie also did incredibly well.
It did well. It had a very similar budget. It made a little less than Scream did, but it's crazy. Like everybody was so fucking hungry for these movies.
Well, because you know what it did? It brought back that feeling of going to the movies to see horror that I think an entire generation had sort of maybe felt like they missed out on, because you'd seen a lot of shit on TV, and we go to the movies and it would be like shitty stuff.
Yeah, definitely for us, because when that stuff was really hot, we were too young to be going to it. Mm-hmm. I had friends of mine in third grade and shit whose parents would let them watch Friday the 13th, but our parents did not do that. And so, by the time that we were old enough to go to these movies, they weren't fucking making these movies anymore. And so there's, a generation that's just coming in, the sort of, elder millennials, they started to... The privilege to see horror movies in the theater again hit at a perfectly... the timing couldn't have been more perfect, which is, I think, why people were so fucking precious about the Blair Witch Project when we did it. Because it was just, the timing couldn't have been better. It was right in that fucking... That right down the middle in terms of pop culture.
Yeah, and you know what? Apropos of that, I'm going to say this up top, and I'm going to say it once. Just because we critique a movie and pick it apart and are sometimes a little bit shitty about it, it doesn't mean that we don't like them. That's not the point of what we're doing. I mean, I like a lot of really bad stuff.
This is true. I suppose it is sort of important to point this out, because we've gained a lot of listeners lately who may have sort of missed that point when we started to sort of engage much more critically with stuff in a much more objective sense. And so that is definitely what we do. there are like, well, okay, so Blair Witch Project, neither of us likes the Blair Witch Project, but like there's plenty of movies that we do love that we have been savage about. So yeah. No,
I mean, I think this movie is very badly written. I think this is a terrible script. And that explains why it didn't get picked up the first time around. It is a badly written movie. These characters are as fucking flimsy as they get.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I do not give a shit about a single one of them. Maybe Sarah Michelle Gellar. Maybe. But everyone is a weird stereotype. Everybody is making the strangest acting choices. It feels like it doesn't even have a director, given all the weird stuff everybody does.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, once we get into it, there's particularly a very important moment for this movie. There is a moment where Jennifer Love Hewitt suggested in a recent interview, like in the last several years, that somebody else just directed it, and
a child, no less.
So let's save that because I have doubts. But
I don't know about that one.
So this is a loose adaptation of a young adult novel.
Very loose.
Yeah, published by Lois Duncan in 1973. Have you ever read it? Because I definitely remember reading this in like 6th grade.
Not that one. I've read something else of hers, like a YA thing. And then she wrote a book about her daughter that I tried to read. And I don't know, whatever the time, maybe I just wasn't into it or whatever, but I didn't finish it. So
Yeah. The original story is not a violent slasher story. It's mostly a mystery story with a revenge element to it. Duncan objected very strongly to the direction that this movie took. When interviewed about the time of the movie's production, she actually expressed disgust for it, and a lot of it having to do with her daughter's 1989 murder, which remained unsolved until 2022. Her novel, which is really kind of like a thing intended for like 13-year-olds, being adapted to this like violent horror movie was quite upsetting for her. Duncan unfortunately died before she could see the case solved. Which
that is unfortunate.
Maybe sad because they fucking got the guy. Hey. And he was like a serial killer.
Damn, really?
Yeah. Like he was responsible for like 3 or 4 other murders. Yeah.
Listen, I can't support serial killing. I'm not here for it.
I do not care for serial murder.
It's the official stance of this podcast.
Yeah.
Anti-serial murder.
In a 2017 interview with Digital Spy, director Jim Gillespie told the site that he had no interest in making a horror movie at the time of this movie's production. No shit.
I'm surprised he had any interest in making a movie, frankly.
Yeah, because he goes on. He says some real fucking highfalutin. I was more interested in the artistry of it. And I'm like, guy, come on. Because like the way that this happened, like I think Williamson is the guy who picked him for
why.
I don't know. The thing is I think I've read something where he was like, he was the best choice for it. And the reason I think the way that it worked was like they gave him like 6 directors' reels and was like, here, these are kind of like up and comers in the system. Like pick whoever you like the best, and he picked him.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was like probably a bunch of people who'd done like TV advertisements and music videos. And stuff like that,
to be fair to Jim Gillespie, and honestly, I don't think he deserves it because I really do think the direction in this is pretty terrible. But he did not like horror movies. He said he did not want to make this a horror movie. So I think there's a possibility, and I'm just speculating, that he had intended to make the movie more like the book, which is a mystery novel. And because even when they shot the whole thing and ran it by test audiences were like, I thought this was a horror movie. Like nobody dies in the movie at all. And so they had to go back and insert like kill scenes because there was no real violence in it. So it is possible that he was just like, I didn't want to make this movie. I wanted to make it more like whatever the original story was. Because I know,
okay. So
Kevin Williamson did punch up again, like later, like not even punch up. He did like full rewrites to make it more of a horror movie.
So like he took it to test audiences to the studio, and they were like, make it more like Scream, though.
Pretty
much. He
much.
was like, fucking fine.
Yeah.
There are two sequels. I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, which again, like Scream 2, was like fucking crazy popular. And I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer, which may not really be connected to the other two. I've not seen it.
We watched all 3 of them not that long ago. I remember the second one because it has Jack Black in it. And it also has a fucking stupid premise. I mean, not that this one's all that deep.
I remember the photos of Jack Black. He's got like a dumb white guy dreadlock thing going on.
It's a little bit offensive. So we did watch the third one. I do not remember a single thing about it. Like, I think it felt to me like a made-for-TV movie. But speaking of which, this was also a reboot for a television.
It was direct to video, that last one.
That would make sense.
Yeah. Let's see. In 2021, Amazon ran a TV series based more closely on the novel, although it was still a slasher-style series, and it was apparently quite sexy.
I watched one episode.
I've not seen any of it. This was a movie that I had zero interest in, so like following up on it, I'm just like, fuck everything about this.
I think it was a pandemic thing. Like, it was earlier, maybe early 2021 or something. It was just like we had burned through everything. And it was just kind of like, all right, I guess I'll watch this. I like horror stuff because you never know. I should have known, but I gave him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, you never know. It might be a hidden treasure.
It wasn't.
Alas, yeah.
Just like a lot of stuff that came out of the pandemic.
Now, coming up next year in 2025 is yet another sequel looking to cash in on the nostalgia wave. This one is a direct sequel to I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. So apparently they're casting out the last of the three original.
Yeah, they're all in it. I think even Sarah Michelle Gellar is also somehow coming back.
Huh. All right. Yep. And lastly, before we jump into the plot, it was parodied on The Simpsons Treehouse of Horror 10 in a segment known as I Know What You Diddly Idly Did.
It's easily one of the best Treehouse of Horror moments ever. It's up there with the shinning.
It's the one where they run over Flanders because Homer forgot to put the fog lights in.
Guess I forgot to put the fog lights in.
Yeah. And but it turns out it's okay because Flanders is also a werewolf.
It is pure genius.
Yeah. Hey, Mara, did you hear me zing Werewolf Flanders?
God, so good. I mean, better than the movie.
I would say easily better than the movie. And it's only like 6 minutes long?
6 minutes, yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any reviews for this?
Yeah, they're not very good, though. I mean, it's a real hit or miss. This is an era. Again, I think a lot of this has to do with a turnover in generation. Because some people actually really liked, some reviewers really liked the movie. I think the ones that saw it as a sort of dumb homage to the days of yore.
Yeah, because this is a movie that wears its references like in its inspiration clearly on its sleeve. This is Prom Night. This is Terror Train.
And those are all some pretty low end movies to begin with. Do I love every single one of them? I do.
Yeah. I would much rather watch any one of them than watch this one.
So let's see what we got here. This is Chicago Tribune. John Petrakis. It says, in oh so many tried and true ways, I Know What You Did Last Summer is little more than a typical teen slasher movie, complete with football, jocks, beauty queens, sex on the beach, and sharp, bloody killing instruments. And he means that in sort of a middling way. He's kind of like, that's exactly what it is. And if that's what you want, then hey, this is for you. And I chose these ones because I was like, I feel like this kind of sums up the movie in general. Here's LA Times. It says, you may find yourself trying to sort it out after the lights go up, but director Jim Gillespie has a terrific sense of pace and allows his talented cast, which includes Anne Heche as a lonely farm woman, to shine brightly. I'm not so sure I agree with that one, but lastly, New York Times, Lawrence Van Gelder, who I think it might actually still be the critic for the New York Times. Though it flies in the face of credibility and becomes downright silly by its end, I Know What You Did Last Summer knows its way around the rules of the popular horror film genre. The prefiguring ghost story around the campfire, the teenage sex that ensures murder, the spooky killer, plenty of steamy shower room and crab vats. But I don't know what kind of horror movies he's watching, but pop-up
a lot of ones that
bombings,
take place in North Carolina, apparently.
Guess. References to other films and television, and an ending that sets the gurney for as many sequels as the public can stomach. The consensus here is, if you're not expecting much, you might have a good time. Don't look for anything else, though, because it's not there.
Yeah. Oh, well.
I mean, I don't know about director Jim Gillespie has a terrific sense of pace and allows his talented cast to shine. I think he allows his talented cast to do the heavy lifting.
No, definitely. Pace, get the fuck out of here. This movie dilly-dallies for like 45 minutes.
For 45 minutes, and then it's like a fucking rocket to the end.
It really is.
Because I got like halfway through it and I was like, oh man, this is a bit of a slog.
I know,
by the end, I'm like, wow, it's over?
I'm like 30 minutes in. I'm like, I still don't know what you did last summer. Like, get on with this shit.
Yeah, it is super convoluted. This is a very basic plot. And even halfway through, I was like, wait, why do they think they killed that guy? That's not the guy they killed.
Yeah.
And I've seen this movie like 50 fucking times.
Yeah, the thing also, like, I think one of my main points of criticism, just generally, is there is a sort of unified look about this movie. There is like an art direction that Gillespie very deliberately engaged in, and I hate it.
Yeah, you know what that is? It's late 90s aesthetic.
Everything is blue, everything is gray.
Yeah,
there's no color in this movie whatsoever. Even the violence is kind of flat and muted
and remarkably white. No, it's Abercrombie and Aeropostale. It's frosted tips. It's fucking
which was the style at the
sweaters.
time.
And really, you hang an onion on your belt. This is the most 90s thing I can imagine. The music, the stars, the fucking everything about it is like, it's a little bit boring, and we had nothing. We had not yet found the machine against which we could rage. And so everyone was just sort of like stumbling around a little bit like, I don't know, how about this 70s story about maybe a murder?
Yeah.
It's rough.
It is. But shall we detail it?
We must.
All right. So we open on a rocky coast at dusk to the dulcet tones of Peter Steele and
really
Typo
is.
Negative.
It's a bitchin' cover of Summer Wind, a Typo Negative.
Yep.
It's ridiculous.
Because what the band the kids were all really about at the time was Typo Negative.
You know, my next note actually says, who are all the kids listening to these days? Typo Negative for sure.
Which is crazy because that I think they put an album out for, it might have been around this time or it might have been before, called October Rust.
No, that's like 94.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Because I actually like that one quite a bit. This, whatever.
Good either. I think that band is stupid, but it is a little bit strange that they're like, well, it's 1997. What is everybody into? Soul Asylum? Sure, why not?
The soundtrack is nuts because like the one that they play a bunch, I think it was in the trailer, is like Kula Shaker.
Yep.
Doing a Cream cover.
I'll run it down for you. Kula Shaker, Typo Negative, The Offspring, Green Apple Quickstep, L7. I'm fine with that. Soul Asylum, Toad the Wet Sprocket, Southern Culture, The Din Pedals. I don't know what the fuck that is. Our Lady Peace, Flick, Goat, Hoover Phonic, Adam Cohen, and Korn. I don't know what half of that is, the back half specifically.
Jesus Christ, it's the fucking WBCN playlist in 1997 for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is so weird. And you got Leadbelly. Well, we'll get to that because I got a comment on that one. You got the Bosstones, George and Cohen, Bing Crosby. It is really, really strange that they were just like, I don't know. Do you have any music? How about we just put music on it?
Yeah, everybody.
What are the kids like? Music.
Yeah. So now we get helicopter shots over to a drunk guy sullenly playing with some kind of shiny trinket that says "I love you." Well, he sits on the edge of the rocks.
Yeah, he's just dressed in his best fishing gear to go out and commit suicide,
as
one does.
Yep. Some fireworks go off above him. We cut to a salty seaside town celebrating the 4th of July. One of these celebrations is a beauty pageant.
Look, I gotta ask, what the fuck is a croaker?
No clue. Absolutely no idea.
Because Buffy is going to be the croaker queen, and they keep talking about croakers, and I'm like, I don't.
It's got to be like a coastal North Carolina thing.
Okay, because I grew up at a coastal place. I don't remember croakers.
No. Among the finalists is Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Mm-hmm. She's their queen. She is to be their queen.
On the balcony above the action, there are 3 teenagers, Julie, Barry, and Ray. They're plotting their friend Buffy, whose name is actually Helen. Helen Shivers.
Fucking amazing character name. Helen Shivers is the best part about the whole movie.
In the book, her name is Helen Rivers. So what is with the name shift?
I don't know. Hey, here's what the best snapshot of the movie you're gonna get. First thing out of Freddie Prinze Jr.'s mouth is, I had no idea her breasts were so ample. Now, this is just like a thing a dude would say in mixed company in 1996.
Right. Apparently with his girlfriend nearby.
Yeah. And she's just like, hey, don't say that about her. And I'm like, yeah, don't say that about anybody, actually. It's really fucking gross.
Yeah. Let's see. So, yeah, Helen wins the pageant, because of course she does. And her friends go nuts.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
so
Ryan Phillipe, sort of like he's her boyfriend. He seems to take a lot of credit for her ample breasts or for her win. I'm not really sure what he's taking credit for. He sucks.
He's the fucking worst. When he dies, I was like, finally. Oh, my God.
Yeah, the best, she wins. But before that, they asked the question, in the spirit of Mother Teresa, what would be your contribution to your community? And I was like, I don't think I would use Mother Teresa as a beacon of anything, because yikes. But her answer is like, I'm gonna act the shit out of this, and that's my contribution. I'm gonna be on Days of Our Lives or whatever the fuck she says.
Yep. So now at an after party on the beach.
Oh no, on Dawson's Beach.
Well, that's a little later on. This is the one where Southern Culture on the Skids is performing.
Okay. Weird, very strange choice. Now, look, I love Southern Culture on the Skids. The song's great. I think that album is great. I don't know why they were like, hey, we need a band for the beach scene. What do you got? He was like, how about this indie surf band that no one's ever heard of? Sure.
Yep.
Some of a rockabilly band-ish.
Yeah. Is that from was it Plastic Seat Sweat?
Yep.
Yeah. They had a really great EP about
El Santo.
El Santo.
Mm-hmm. Go
that
Santo.
goddamn I loved. So now some side characters get introduced. Helen's sister Elsa shows up. These
Who's
two
a
seem to fucking hate each other.
But like real mean.
The entire Shivers family dynamic is fucked up. We're gonna find this out, and it never goes anywhere. It never amounts to anything. There is just animosity and ambivalence. It's
I will preface that moment that you're talking about. We'll say there are no adults in this movie, except for when there are, but there aren't.
Yeah.
It's very, very strange.
Yeah,
but there's literally no. It's sort of like. Not like in a Peanuts kind of way where there are literally no adults, but like there are adults, but they play no role in anything. It's sort of like very 80s in that way.
Yeah. Like they're just background people, or they occupy a frame, but they don't do anything. Yeah. And then there's Max, played by Johnny Galecki from Christmas Vacation, Roseanne, or The Big Bang Theory, depending on how old you are.
Now, look, how are we supposed to read Max? Because to me, he has a very nice guys finish last incel vibe that I find absolutely repulsive.
Okay, so here's the thing. I get the feeling that there are big chunks of this movie that were cut out, and there was probably a side plot that involves him. But because he doesn't really, again, like everybody in this movie who is not our sort of 4 main players, they're there mostly to get killed, and that's it. And so there's this whole thing where he comes in, and it's kind of like that. It's that nice guys finish last thing. But then later on, he's going to show.
We need to be very clear. That is one of the most disgusting 90s tropes ever. I mean, and earlier, I guess, but the idea that she's not into me because I'm not the football player. Fuck off. That is so disgusting.
Right. But not even 10 minutes later, he's going to show up again, and his attitude and his vibe is way different.
Yeah, the tone of this character changes repeatedly, and I never know. You can never pin him down, because I think they try to make him this sad incel character. Then they try to make him a red herring, because fucking everybody is a red herring. This is red herring the movie.
Yeah.
And like, you never know. Everybody is constantly changing in a way that is completely unnatural and makes zero sense. Everybody.
True. Yeah.
And I think it's because they're kind of like, well, we're going to try and throw off the audience. It's like, you can't throw us off constantly with every single character. Like at one point I was like, maybe I'm the killer. I don't know.
Yeah. So he's some kind of old friend or a local weirdo with a crush on Julie, wants to take her out before she leaves town, as this is the last summer before college for all of these assholes.
Which is gross, because it's like, she clearly has a boyfriend. Yeah, he's a
And
wooden,
he's standing
boring
literally
guy,
right
but he's
there,
like
yeah.
right there. And it's just like, you are hitting on her shamelessly right in front of him.
Yeah. So Barry, a hyper aggro football player, starts some static because that's his thing. And then they all go down to Dawson's Beach.
There we go.
Yeah, where they tell the old hook hand urban legend, but everybody tells it differently. And Ray...
And Freddie Prinze Jr., Ray, he looks so genuinely deeply hurt that none of them seem to know the, quote, real story about the Hook Man. And he's just like, hey, all urban legends are based in reality. No, they're not. They're based in morality.
Yeah. Oh God. And speaking of urban legends, I guarantee that this moment is what we have to thank for that fucking series of movies.
And you know what? I'm not even going to say what I think of those movies. They're going to come for me with torches.
Yeah. The twist also, we see a bunch of things. The twisty road locations that they use here are the same ones that we literally just talked about in our episode about the fog. It's also used in The Birds.
Yeah. I was like, watching the movie, I was like, I know these roads.
Yeah. We just saw them. Mm-hmm. And also,
I will say it's a beautifully shot movie in a lot of ways. I think the landscape photography is really beautiful in this. The up close action stuff is not. So whoever they got to do the cinematography is not an action guy.
No,
I'm just going to assume it's a guy.
Yeah. Also, Dawson's Beach is a pretty blunt reference to Williamson's other project that was in development at the time. I guess Dawson's Creek hadn't come out yet.
It also came out in '97, I think.
Yeah.
Hey, Dawson's Creek, fucking landmark. First few seasons of that, great show.
Also, that wrecked boat in the scene was a prop bought by the production in Bodega Bay, where The Birds takes place.
Nice.
Yep. So next, we learn about everybody's plans. Helen's going to go to New York to be an actress, land a role on Guiding Light, which is fairly prescient since Sarah Michelle Gellar ended up with several dozen episodes on All My Children eventually.
She was also, what was her show? Was she Swan's Crossing? Was Sarah Michelle Gellar on Swan's Crossing? Yeah. I'm getting a head nods, yes.
Okay. Yeah, Barry is going to school to play football and hopefully land a pro deal. Julie is going to law school in Boston, and Ray is going to do something. I really don't know.
It doesn't matter. Ray's the poor one.
Yeah, he's going to New York or something. Yep. And then they fuck.
And then he's like, you know how terrified I am of your IQ. Like, oh, barf. Fuck off. You all are terrible.
That's 90s feminist guy talk right there.
My note says, oh my God, they're going to do sex on the beach.
Which, just put, not even with a blanket down.
Yeah, look, I'm not going to lie. I was a little high when I watched this movie.
So when they're all done, Barry is too drunk to drive. So Ray takes the keys and they head home. And we get some real S-tier drunk acting from Ryan Phillipe here.
We should at least acknowledge, because the acting in this movie it's not very good, but they're all pretty early on in their careers. And I would say at least Buffy goes on to, I think Sarah Michelle Gellar is a pretty good actor.
No question.
I'm not so sure about the rest of them, but they're pretty fucking wooden in this movie.
Sure, yeah.
But it's,
they don't got much to work
pretty
with.
early on. No, I think the problem is really the script and the direction. Right.
Let's see. So
but they're really having a time. They're drinking. He's hanging out the top of the thing, and they're speeding along. It's like, this is not a good idea. It doesn't matter. Yeah, you're gonna hit a person, but like if you hit anything.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Yeah. Let's see. So Ray takes the keys and they head home. Bored and drunk, Barry puts on a very loud Mighty Mighty Boss Tone song and stands up through the sunroof, howling like he's at Woodstock 99 or Total Request Live.
It really is. It is, it's not good. It's not good. He is half of the dudes I went to high school with.
Whoa!
Yeah, he is a real woo girl. He is out the fucking sunroof with his bottle of Hennessy or whatever.
Oh, God, yeah.
Listen to like bad Boss Tones. Like the Boss Tones' first couple albums are pretty good. Not by this point, though.
No. So everybody is distracted when he drops the bottle he's drinking. When they suddenly look up, there's a dude in the road who gets run the fuck over. And then the car spins out.
This is why you don't hang out the sunroof with your bottle of Courvoisier.
No, it's unsafe. It's unsafe. Keep that cognac in a cup holder.
That's right.
Yeah.
So and then the first thing Barry says is, my car. And I said, that's why you know he's a bad person.
Yeah. At first they think they hit a deer and are about to leave when Julie finds a bloody boot. And they all freak out.
And then they're like, she's like, oh no, we have to find whatever the fuck it was. And I was like, deer do not wear boots. I know that. I don't know much about wildlife, but the one thing I do know about wildlife is that they do not wear rubber boots.
No.
And so then they go like creeping around to find whatever it was they hit. And they find the body. And Julie lets out this ear-piercing shriek. Uh-huh. And I thought to myself, bitch, you were looking for something that you hit with your car. Then you found it. Then you screamed. You found the thing that you were looking for. Why are you screaming?
This was deliberate because she's going to do some more shrieking.
Later
on. I guarantee they were like, okay, you are the new Scream Queen. So let's hear it.
I disagree. But also it's illogical to start screaming when you found the thing you were looking for. If you walked into the road and found a dead body, okay, fine, scream all you want. But like, you knew you hit a person because of the rubber boots that we know that animals don't wear, and then you found the body. Why are you screaming?
Yeah. So yeah, they check him out, and the guy is all jacked up. Julie wants to call the cops, and everybody pushes back because Barry and Helen are drunk.
And I think we need to talk about Barry's aggressive, psychotic behavior, because I don't know if he's supposed to just be like kind of rageaholic football guy, but he comes across in this movie like a goddamn serial killer. He is like Henry Lee Lucas, but a football player in high school.
He's like all of the boys in sleepaway camp where they're just ready to murder one another at the drop of a hat.
But he is just like, he's grabbing people. He's grabbing Julie. He's like physically threatening her, and nobody's doing anything or saying anything about it.
He grabs her by the fucking throat and like presses her against the car.
And they're all just like, hey man, that's not cool. And it's like, no, you need to hit him in the back of the head with something. That's how not cool that is.
Yeah.
But again, and I'm going to get to this when we wrap this shit up at the end, but like, anybody who is just like, oh, that movie's so fun. It's like, no, this is kind of what the 90s were. It's like, we pretended things were fine, but they really very much weren't.
Yeah. There was a veneer of normalcy about everything, but there was still a sort of like simmering rage underneath everything. It all kind of comes to a head.
Yeah, like I'm really surprised nobody calls anybody a homo in this movie. Like, that's really all it's lacking. It's just like they're all surprisingly like callously cavalier about killing someone with their car and then dumping the body in the ocean, which is what they do next.
Yeah. So but while they're doing this, a car approaches while they argue, and when it slows, it turns out to be Max from before. And like, it's supposed to be this sort of like moment of tension, but now he's like an entirely different character. There's a
weird menace to him.
There's a weird menace about him. Yeah. But also they very easily get rid of him. So like,
my note says lazy red herring.
Yeah. So now with Max gone, they take the body down to the pier, and then they argue who will push the body in. And when Helen takes the lead, Body suddenly lurches up and grabs her pageant crown before rolling into the water. And Barry jumps in after him to retrieve it and swims back up.
Yeah, the crown. He jumps in to retrieve the crown, not the alive man they just pushed into the water.
I'm gonna give it to Gillespie in this scene. The shot of the body underwater is pretty cool.
Look, I wouldn't give it to him. I'm going to give it to whoever the fucking DP is on this.
Okay.
I'm not giving him a goddamn thing.
You deserve nothing, Jim Gillespie.
And I I don't understand. Why are they friends with Barry? Because under the best of sober circumstances, he's still a world-class douchebag. And when he's drunk, he's like spends all of his time menacing women and being violent.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe he's just like the third wheel in the friendship of Helen and Julie. Like
he's all three of them are like, no, but he's different when he's with us. It's that. We can save him.
We're right. So, they all swear to never so much as think about this night ever again.
Yeah, and when Julie's like, well, maybe, that's when he like grabs her by the throat and slams her head down on the car or whatever. It's like an episode of Cops.
Yeah. Okay, so now, 1 year later, Julie is at school getting ready to go home after her first year. For obvious reasons, she doesn't want to go back. At home, she's haunted and distant. And it's also just her and her mother. There's like photos of her and her father, which is sort of like suggesting something. Like it feels like it's going somewhere. And of course it doesn't.
We're going to get a lot of that. Like a lot of weird misdirection that they will never even address. It's like, does she come from a broken home? What even is a broken home?
Right.
Yeah, who cares?
Yeah. Also, it turns out she's had a really bad year at school.
Yeah, we know this because her mother says, your report card came in the mail. Now, I have questions about this. I went to college for many, many, many years. I don't remember my report card ever
I don't
going to
remember
my
a report card.
parents.
No.
No, I didn't get it. We didn't have those. But why does it go to her mother?
I don't know.
And then she like gets this like other thing in the mail. And she's like, who did this come from? And I was like, bitch, it's your fucking mail. Why would she know?
Yeah. So on the table, there's a letter addressed to her. She opens it and reads it. And it says, I know what you did last summer.
Yeah. Her mother's like, yeah, you got this thing in the mail. I'm like, yeah, you got this suspicious, ominous looking letter handwritten in Sharpie.
Yeah. No stamp, no return address.
Now, listen, there's a moment where she's sitting at the table with her mother.
I know what you're going to say.
And they're eating dinner. I think you do.
Yeah.
And her mother says, how's the... her mother says, how's the snapper? And
I wanted monkfish.
Every now and then, my mind goes to the most juvenile place, and I'm just going to leave it at that.
I always think, like, whenever somebody brings up snapper, I just think of UHF.
Okay, that's a good one, too.
Yeah.
It's far less crude than mine.
Anyways, so in the morning, she goes over to the local department store owned by Helen's family. She asks Elsa for Helen's address in New York so she can look her up, and it turns out that New York didn't really work out for her. So she came home. She works at the store now, also haunted.
Yep. The question is, hey, Helen, is it a wig?
I was going to say that.
Yes, it is. And it's a very bad one.
Yeah. Oh, boy. Wig.
Now, this is where we get to the point where it's like the dialogue in this movie has either been shouted in anger or whispered with quiet intensity. Those are your only options so far.
Yeah. The department store looks like a set. It has the strangest layout I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's got a real Boscov circa 1987 feel.
Apparently, it was a real department store that, like, if you were in coastal North Carolina, you could visit it. It was called Harold's. But it seems to have collapsed under the weight of COVID, having closed permanently in 2023. But it's like,
listen, if
it
they
has
made
like a
it
really,
as far as 2023, God bless them.
It's a, yeah, but it's like, it's weird. It's got like a low ceiling and there's like mannequins with plastic sheets over them and shit. Like, it's just crazy. I don't know.
Look, we went so many years ago, our cousin got married in Binghamton, and I went with the guy I was dating at the time, and there is still a Boscov's in downtown Binghamton. And we had to kill some time, and so we went in there, and it was basically that. It was like,
oh my God,
half empty. The shelves were like barren. They had like boom boxes and shit. It looked just like this.
That trip to Binghamton was kind of crazy. I remember it looked like that downtown area looked like a fire had started in the 90s and nobody had bothered to like repair the place.
Yeah, it was like one time many, many years ago, this is probably 20 or 30 years ago, I had to deliver a wedding cake to was that peas? Not peas. What's the Kittery base there? The naval base?
Yeah, the Navy, the fucking shipyard.
Yeah, the shipyard there. And so we had to go on to the base. And for anyone who doesn't know, there are lots of shipyards and sort of naval bases around this country that have since been shut down. But because they're essentially Superfund sites, the government has opted to keep them open rather than closing them, because if they close them, they have to clean them, and that costs far more than it would to keep them open. And so these weird places, these are like closed off to the rest of the world, and when you go onto them, it's like these little communities once existed here, but now they're all abandoned. And this is what the shipyard is like. It is creepy as hell.
I remember Dad had done some commercials for, I can't remember who the client was, but like they were big productions where they needed to basically make it look like a house was on fire, and so they went up into those places. This is after Pease was the whole Strategic Air Command thing had moved away, and it was just like they were trying to make a commercial airport out of it. But all of the residential housing for the airmen was still there, but they were abandoned. And so driving through those neighborhoods, it was like something out of fucking Dawn of the Dead. Like it was just like neighborhoods and neighborhoods where nobody lived, but I was by myself, like moving like electrical supplies around in there, and I could swear to God, I felt like I was being watched from every broken window. It was the spookiest shit in the world.
Like the hills have eyes, but it's like Pease is, you can go there now if you want to, but like you can't go on to the Kittery shipyard because it is still an active shipyard. And so you have to have clearance to get on there. And the only reason I was allowed in there is because that's where the wedding was. And so, and inside there, it's like this little contained town, like storefronts and all, like a church and all this shit. It's super weird. It is like, it's like Salem's Lot. Like,
sweet. Everything
is gone. It is empty. It is creepy as hell. I don't know how I got on this tangent, but it was very unsettling.
So yeah, right. Deserted department stores.
Ah, yes. Naturally, as the one thing leads to another.
Yep. Julie shows her the note, and then they take it over to Barry's parents' house, and we get a quick update. He never went to school for football, or maybe he did. I don't.
Yeah, good news, everybody. Barry's still a piece of shit.
Oh yeah, he fucking sucks. Just kind of hangs out at home now. Barry wants to forget it because he's convinced that nobody knows about it, and then Julie informs him that the body was eventually found. 3 weeks later, it turned up in a fishing net. The guy's name was David Egan.
So here's the thing about this. So Julie obviously goes away to, I guess we're supposed to assume Harvard.
Yeah.
Fine. But the rest of them, the other three stay there. That's the implication?
I think so. Like Helen goes to New York, she says, but it didn't. She couldn't get any roles, and so she came home. I can't tell if Barry went anywhere. Ray was supposed to go somewhere, but he doesn't. You know, basically everybody's just kind of like racked with guilt and ruined. And
because
like,
I'll tell you what,
just goes to.
They all act like they haven't seen each other since then. Now,
because they have not.
Well, that is very odd because I lived in a very small town for quite a long time. You see everybody all the fucking time. Whether you want to or not, you're going to run into people all the time.
Oh, yeah.
I find it hard to believe this is a very small coast. Like, I lived in Portsmouth, which was a very small coastal fishing town.
Right.
You see everybody everywhere.
Oh, right. There was a time I couldn't go downtown for anything without running into like fucking 5 people that I know.
And they are just like, well, haven't run into anybody. It's the thing, where are you going? Where are you buying food?
Yeah.
Like, I find it really hard to believe that, like, they just haven't seen each other. Yeah, that's the bad writing, everybody.
Yeah. So Barry now thinks that it's Max fucking with all of them since he turned up at the crash site that night, yada, yada. So they all go over to the docks where Barry runs into Max because he works there now, steaming crabs or something.
Oh, you skipped the part where they find Ray, though.
Oh, right. They go to Ray, and it's like, oh, hey, haven't seen you in a while.
And she's
what are you up to? And he's like, I'm a fisherman now.
And she's like, oh, like your dad. And he goes, he worked on boats. That's all I know about him. Just like that. Like that, just like with that much inflection.
Yep.
And then like Julie literally runs away from him down the dock in those ridiculous pants. Like they dressed her like an overgrown toddler. She looks insane.
She does the scary movie run.
She really does. It's, oh God. This movie is so bad.
So elsewhere, Max. Barry threatens Max. We know you're fucking with you. Max is like, I don't know what you're talking about, because he doesn't. And then nothing really becomes of it. So now elsewhere, Max is in a steam room or something cooking shrimp or crabs when he's suddenly attacked by the Gorton's fisherman with a bailing hook and is killed.
Trust the Gorton's fisherman.
Yeah, why did they kill him? What the fuck did he have to do?
Okay, I was gonna save this for when they kill him and Elsa, for that matter, because a test audience watched this and went, why doesn't anybody die in this movie? In this slasher movie? And they were like, oh shit, now we have to go back and find characters to kill, because this is a reshoot. That is an insert. And so they had to come up with a reason to kill somebody. Which makes me wonder, did they rewrite a lot of the Johnny Galecki character to justify a murder or something?
Maybe?
Because
I don't know.
There's by the movie's own logic, there's no reason why either of those characters should be killed.
No, they had nothing to do with anything.
Right.
And as a matter of fact, he is like the furthest from the crime. Like he has no relation to this whatsoever.
Right.
So yeah.
And so it just doesn't. They were just like, oh, he's a recognizable character, because there really aren't anybody. There's nobody else in the movie. It's
right.
The
For the most part,
four,
it's just the four of them.
And so you have these other two sort of shitty characters. You can't kill Anne Heche because that would be too cruel. So the only two you're left with are Elsa and Johnny Galecki.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like, by default, those are the ones that have to die, even though they never really explain why that is. Yeah. It's a pretty brutal scene, though. I'll give him that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He gets it under the chin with the hook.
Yeah, like it's of the entire movie, it's kind of like, all right, well, you did that. That was fine, I guess.
Yeah. So now Barry goes to the gym to beat up the heavy bag a bit.
Yeah.
His boxing form is terrible.
It is very, very bad. Even I know that, and I have done very little boxing in my life.
Yeah. So when he's done, he hits the shower in a room made entirely out of corrugated metal
and steam.
And
this one's for the ladies out there, and also for the dudes a little bit.
Yep. Hey, you like abs? We got abs.
You like white guys? Here you go.
So when he returns to his locker, he finds a Polaroid picture of his car with a note on it that says, "I know."
Look, I feel like this whole scene was very much Kevin Williamson being like, hey, maybe we could just film a kind of languid, gratuitous scene of this guy in a towel.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it. I mean, obviously, but like, it's very odd that we don't get a hallmark. This is going to come as a surprise to nobody. A hallmark of 80s slasher movies, which this is aping pretty hard, is women in the shower or women in locker rooms. It is in all of them. This flips that.
True. Kevin Williamson, famously gay.
Yes, correct.
Yep. So I mean, I'll hand it to him. Like, if you're into dudes, they're going to give you a little treat here.
Yeah, it's fine. He's a good-looking man. You see him in the shower, whatever, for a while. But it's a little bit interesting that like there is no female nudity in this movie at all. That's
a good point.
Some male nudity in this movie.
Yeah, that's a solid point, man.
All right, for 97, you subverted the trope, and I'm here for that.
Okay. Right. Let me figure out where I was. Yep. So now he runs outside.
Well, he throws on his white ribbed sweater with a real loose neck.
Right. A sweater in July.
It is in fucking North Carolina.
Let me tell you, I've been in North Carolina in the summer. Fucking hot.
It's real hot. It's real hot there. I have also been in North Carolina in the summer. It is very warm. Never once did I throw on a white ribbed sweater from Aeropostale.
Wardrobe considerations by PacSun.
Oh yes.
Now when he runs outside, someone steals his car and drives away, but suddenly turns on Barry and chases him in a frustrating scene where if Barry had just run to either side of the road, he'd have been fine.
Yeah, serpentine, Barry. Fucking serpentine.
Cornered, the car runs him through the wall of some buildings, and then the Gorton's fisherman gets out and menaces him a bit, pulling out the hook.
Yeah, this is how stupid Barry's character is. He literally tries to fight the guy in the car. The guy who hits him with the car, and then and this dude fucking nails him with the car. He sends him through a wall.
Yep.
And then, quite mysteriously, they cut to commercial. There is a cutaway that is a very hard cut where you feel like they're about to go to a commercial.
No, we cut to a hospital where Barry is mostly okay.
My note says, these quote-unquote teens are insufferable.
He suggests that Ray might be the guy. When everybody else wants to go to the cops, Barry puts his foot down, and they all plan instead to find the person who is stalking him.
Why not?
So they can talk to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good.
So later, Helen and Julie use the internet.
Yeah. Oh, boy. They are 100% on the net. And there's Julie, and Julie is hunting and pecking. It's like she clearly did not take a typing class in high school like the rest of us.
Which I gotta wonder, because the internet was still a very nascent thing in 1997. Like I was online back then, but I was also like that was my kind of I was moving in that direction as a job. So it was it made sense, but this must have been weird to see because it was the latest thing.
I think it is a well established that I am not a very technologically savvy person. But I don't quite remember. I remember there were websites, but
yeah,
there was America Online, obviously, or CompuServe and shit like that. But there was websites that were very, very basic. GeoCities, Angel Fire.
Right, my old videotape trading website was as rudimentary as it gets. But
and whatever she's using is clearly not actually a thing. But I don't think what she's doing. She's looking up things that are articles that have been digitized.
Yeah,
and there is no
microfiche.
fucking way anything has been digitized by 1997. I guarantee you that they're still digitizing shit from 1997 right now. So there's no way she's pulling any of this stuff up online. But that's the internet I know how to use. I know how to do research on the internet. That's about it.
Yeah, the internet is that thing still around?
Yeah. Oh, I hear they have that on computers now. We're going for the gold, the Simpsons quotes at this point.
Oh, I've got one that you're gonna love.
Oh, so you also have more coming up. Okay, good.
Yeah. So they find out that he was driving a car the year before they hit him with his girlfriend in it, and it skidded off the road and crashed into the ocean. David survived, but the girl died.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah, his sister is still alive, and so they drive out to meet her.
Now, my favorite part about this is that they're driving out, and I swear to God, they're driving. Do you remember that car Adam had in the late 90s?
Oh yeah, for sure, yeah.
I swear that's the fucking. It's a Chrysler something boxy in gray. I swear that's what she's driving. I could smell because his car had a weird gas leak in it. I could smell that.
Yep. It's like a LeSabre.
But my favorite part is they're driving out to the sticks. That's where she lives.
That's what she calls it. Yeah.
Lives out in the sticks. I'm I think you all live out in the sticks if you ask me. But Buffy has a hand-drawn map to Missy's house in the woods. It is it has road, ocean. Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, big red X.
Yeah, really. It's like a fucking pirate map. It's hilarious.
This when they get there,
it's pre-map quest.
So when they get there, they find his sister home alone, and then they fake the car broke down to get into the house.
And Anne Heche, God bless her, she plays a great whack job. Go figure.
Pure 90s is you don't get much more 90s than Anne Heche. Well, was this when she was she was dating Ellen DeGeneres at the time?
Yeah, I think a couple years later she's dating him. Now, and I don't want to make light of Anne Heche clearly had mental health issues, and she struggled for a lot of her life. But and she's actually quite good in this. Mm-hmm. But again, the writing and the direction are so bizarre. Because they pull up, she is acting like she is in the midst of committing a heinous crime.
Right.
Or again, she's a real jittery junkie.
She's another fucking red herring.
Yeah.
You're supposed to think maybe she's the killer.
Yeah, but because she is just My note says, okay, and give us your best red herring, because she's got like a butcher knife in her hand. She's been gutting hogs all day or some shit.
Right. That's a little later on. This is one where she just sort of like appears out of nowhere. But we do get another scene where like they've got this like Texas Chainsaw like slaughter shack that she shows up in.
It is insane.
Right. So, inside this house, there's one of those rain slickers like the Gorton's Fisherman wears. Julie and Helen question her, trying to figure out who the killer might be, and find out that David died. After he died, this guy would come around who was supposed to be his friend, and his name was Billy Blue.
Okay, but that's all she remembers. And then she says, we were sweet on each other for about 2 minutes. It's like, you were sweet on each other, but you don't know anything about him, and you barely remember his fake name?
Yeah. So Helen goes home. Her father completely ignores her.
No. You skipped over a very crucial moment when they kind of like lie. They're like, okay, I guess we got to go. Bye. And they run out to their car. She's trying to start the car. And then Missy comes fucking screaming up to the car window with this like, hey, Bart, want to see my chainsaw and hockey mask energy? She's like pounding on the fucking window. And she's like, you forgot your cigarettes. I'm like, that does not warrant you rushing up out of the darkness like that.
Right. And then they just pull off, and as she's like holding onto the car.
Yeah.
It's a very weird scene,
What is this character? Who wrote this movie?
Yeah. So back at the place, her father completely ignores her. Helen's dad, that is.
They walk in, and she walks into the house, and she like sort of turns to say something to her father, who was sitting there watching stock fucking still, does not move, watching sports. And she's like, oh, hey, I'm home or something. And like, again, the implication here is that there is dysfunction in this family.
Yeah.
He is almost inanimate. And then she walks up the stairs and he like takes a drink. And it's like, this is not just dysfunction. Whatever this is deeply unhealthy.
Far more terrifying than anything that happens in this movie. It is the most disturbing shit that I can think of.
If I just saw this scene in the movie, I would assume Buffy's character was dead.
Right. She's been dead the whole time.
Yeah. Why there hasn't been a Buffy the Vampire Slayer here for 25 years?
Yeah, so he ignores her, and he also ignores the Gorton's Fisherman, who is now sneaking around the house with this crazy ass hook.
Doesn't even notice that person come into the house. Like, oh, a second person has walked through the door? Nope. Why look?
No, can't be bothered. Daddy's got his ketamine going on.
God.
So you think he's going to kill her, but instead he hides in her closet. You think he's about to kill her again, but it's her shitty sister, Elsa, who wants Helen to work in the morning.
Yeah, she just showed up to be a total fucking cunt to her.
Unbelievable. Like, the animosity between these two is unbelievable.
It is a level of hatred that is like, I don't know, you reserve that to like, for people who have really very seriously wronged you, like hit your mom with a car and killed her. Like, that's what this is. But like, she is just like, oh, hey, the fucking beauty queen doesn't want to work tomorrow? Well, neither do I, bitch, but I have to anyway.
Yeah. Oh, boy. She can't work because she has to be in the 4th of July parade in order to see in the new queen.
Yeah, because she's the queen of the croakers. Yeah. I still don't know what that means.
No clue. We will never know.
Are they fish?
Maybe listeners, if you know what a croaker is,
you know what? Bring me the Don't tell me. Don't tell me. I don't want to know.
Just bring me the xpod@gmail.com. Her sister makes
it's a fish. It's a fish. I think it's a fish.
Okay, it's got to be. Yeah, her sister makes some shitty comments about her hair and then leaves.
Yeah, it's Chekhov's hair.
Yeah. In the morning, Helen wakes up to find that her hair was cut while she slept, implying that the killer is one sneaky motherfucker.
So Max gets gutted like a fish. Barry gets run down with a car, and Buffy gets a bad haircut.
Take that, bitch.
And then she has this amazing reaction where she smashes the mirror, and then she calls
hits
Julie.
It several times, yeah. Because written on the mirror is the word soon.
And she smashes the thing, and then she calls Julie. And Julie, then we got a hard cut to Julie, and Julie goes, "What? Oh my God," and then runs out of the house. And I thought, what did she say to her to elicit that response?
They cut my hair, Julie. They cut my hair.
They gave me a terrible curtain bang. Hurry.
So yeah, Helen, she calls Julie, who drives over. On the way, she's distracted by some noise in the back. As she gets out to pop the trunk and finds Max's rubbery dead body there, covered in crabs.
Oh, look, this is disgusting because crabs are disgusting. But my question is, wouldn't you smell 55 pounds of crab about 5 feet from your head while you're driving? Not to mention the fucking gross clicking sounds.
Growing up on the seacoast, I know what seafood smells like, man.
You just smell that shit in the air because you live a mile and a half from it.
Yeah.
I can't imagine being 4 feet from it while it's like clicking and fucking skittering behind you.
Yeah. Yeah. So now she runs away, finding Helen and Barry at Helen's house. When they go back to her car, she pops the trunk and it is empty. As a matter of fact, there is no sign of any crabs or dead body having been there.
Now, that is impossible.
Impossible.
Because we just said you can't live a mile and a half from it without smelling it.
No.
It's going to smell like seafood. It's going to smell like fucking crabs and probably a decomposing body.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Yeah.
Which also smells quite bad.
Yeah. I mean, there'd be water, there'd be fucking seaweed and shit. Nope.
There'd be putrefaction.
Not a sign of it. This is like this is one of those trunks that has like a faux fur lining. So like it would be wet too. Nope, it's dry.
It was just
dry.
freshly detailed. Beautiful job. Yeah. So this is in itself implausible.
Right. So this is the part that everybody knows where Julie screams out at the killer like, what are you waiting for?
Oh, she is acting the shit out of this moment.
And she is twirling toward freedom.
It's just, oh my God. I stopped counting at this point. Incidentally, you were the one who sent me the thing about with Kamala Harris reading the twirling.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah. So here's the scene. I looked into this hoping to find some specifics, but I couldn't find any. In a 2018 interview with Us Weekly, Hewitt explained that the scene was directed by a kid who had won some sort of contest. Now, I can find no evidence of this.
I read nothing
to corroborate this.
I read an article, and I think you may have sent this to me. This was years ago. It was in it was like AV Club article about how some kid had won a contest and had gotten to direct a scene. This all seems impossible.
It's very dubious. Like
I can't imagine any studio being like, sure, let a 13-year-old direct a scene in your horror movie that we have just given you $17 million to make. Like,
because and that was the prize. The prize being a chance to direct a scene in a movie. And I don't know. Personally, I think that in the intervening years, everybody has been like, this scene makes me want to crawl inside myself and die because it's so cringe-inducing.
It's really bad.
And so now they're trying to like explain it away. Like even Gillespie is like, yeah, I didn't do that shit.
It's bad because maybe it's just like a convenient way of explaining why this scene is so badly done. Because,
right.
and as much as, again, I'm sure people are going to be like, oh, I love that scene. No, you don't.
The thing is, it's the iconic scene of the movie. It's the one that everybody fucking knows. When they want to show a reference to be like, hey, remember, I know what you did last summer. This is the scene that they show on TV. Like in those scariest moments in horror movies. This is the one that shows up in all the fucking clip shows.
No, play the scene where Southern culture on the skids on the beach. That's the part of the movie that's worth watching.
Yeah. So they run into Ray, and then they go back to Helen's place to look at her sister's yearbook.
They got to punch. He's got to punch Ray because he's like, "Oh, it's your fault, Ray."
Right, because Ray is not really, nothing's really happening to Ray.
Yeah. Also, Ray seems kind of like he's real nonchalant about all of this.
Right. Also, there's a poster on Helen's wall that just says "ska."
Yeah. Well, no, she has a Moon Ska poster.
Oh, okay.
So it is a record. For those who do not know, Moon Ska was a record label in the 90s and I guess early 2000s probably too.
Yeah. They find David Egan in the yearbook. Ray wants to pick up stakes and run away. Julie wants to stay and face this down. So now at the parade, Barry...
Yeah, they're like, hey, Helen, why can't we use you as bait?
Right.
And Helen's like, because I don't want to be bait. And you're like, come on. And then she says, it's July 4th. This is his day. And my note says, wait, what?
Yeah.
What do you mean it's his day? Whose day?
Right. It's like Friday the 13th. Like it's Jason's day.
Yeah, but at least Friday the 13th is supposed to be Jason's birthday.
Okay.
Per the first movie? I don't fucking know. But I also don't know why July 4th is his day. We don't even know who he is.
That's the thing is this was the thing. Kevin Williamson was like, okay, we're making a slasher movie, so we got to do a holiday thing because they all got holidays.
Are we sure AI didn't write this movie?
This is just script by ChatGPT. Yeah. So at the parade, Barry rides on the pageant queen float with Helen.
Yeah, the whole town has turned out for this fucking weird parade.
It is a weird parade, man. Looking for the killer as they ride through town. She spots the fisherman in the crowd, and Barry runs after him, chasing him down the docks, tackling him. He finds it's just some old guy in the slicker.
Ah, damn it. Damn it, you beefed it again.
Jesus.
Oh, Barry. Why couldn't you have been sober?
Oh boy. Julie drives back to Missy Egan's place.
The old guy that he tackles looks like he's having a heart attack on the ground too.
He's old Gil. Oh yeah. So she goes to Missy Egan's place. She finds her in the slaughter.
She gets to the house, and Missy's just listening to some old lead belly on the old Victrola.
like you do.
Oh, she's just out back cleaving animals in the shed or something.
Oh yeah, when we join her, she's out back just hacking fish up.
And Julie starts talking to her like she's an unfamiliar dog. Like she's just like, hey, remember me? It's okay. Like that's a person you're talking to, you fucking weirdo.
Yeah. Oh, so she tells Julie that her brother killed himself out of guilt over what happened the year before. And she knows this because he left a note.
Yeah, and she's like, hey, you want to see the suicide note? I've been hiding it in the old sugar shed. Let me go get it for you.
Yeah. So she shows him the note, and it's in the style of the I Know What You Did letter, like same handwriting and stuff. So Julie tries to confess to Missy, but she has her details wrong. Now, on the night they hit the guy, Julie spotted a tattoo of a girl's name on the man's arm. But telling Missy this, she angrily sends Julie away, telling her that David didn't have a tattoo.
Yeah, because I guess Julie thought the your brother was murdered story would garner, a good reaction?
I know. So at the parade, Helen eventually spots Gorton's fisherman with his hook at the hall where the pageant will take place.
Oh, no, we need to talk about the pageant for a second.
Oh, because that's the next scene, and I love it. I genuinely love this scene. It made me laugh my ass off.
Hysterically at this moment. There is when we get to the talent portion, and here's Helen Shivers, some reason sitting on like a weird throne by the corner of the thing, while the other woman is doing her talent portion. She is singing the theme from Fame in a one-piece bathing suit and heels.
It is the best. If there's a reason to watch this movie, I mean, maybe the clip's on YouTube. It's very fucking funny.
It is fantastic. You know what? Find that. Put that on the Instagram for the kids because it is a wonderful moment.
I'm gonna do that. That's some real Jeff Nelson stuff. So, Helen sees the Gorton's fisherman sneaking up on Barry, who's up in the fucking balcony watching her, and then he kills the shit out of him. Finally.
Oh, yeah. I was just like, oh, no, Barry's dead.
Yeah, Barry's dead. Oh, God. Great. That sucks. So Helen runs to help him, but the crowd restrains her.
They're all holding her. Like, I don't get it. It's like, she's hysterical. Hold her back. Get a doctor. And it's like,
yeah, quick. This woman is hysterical.
Why are they doing this? She's like, she has the vapors. Why are they doing this? Like, she's trying to alert you to the fact that there is a murderer in your midst. And they're all just like, quick, give her a sedative.
Right. So eventually a cop goes up to the balcony, but the body is gone. And the cop, like most cops do, goes out of his way not to have to do his job. But there's blood all up in that balcony.
Again, but there's not enough. Look, I know a thing or two about murder. Not because I do it. But,
you're a murder enthusiast.
But I do write about it. And I don't think you could murder someone with a giant fish hook and not leave a lot of evidence.
Right.
But much like the crabs in the trunk, there seems to be none, and he has cleaned it up all very, very quickly.
He's the fastest at this shit. Guys, this dude is in the wrong business.
That's the real mystery of the film.
So now the cop drives Helen home, being a condescending asshole the entire time.
Okay, now is this scene not lifted directly from
Scream 2? I thought the same thing. The same scene happens in that movie.
And it's much better in that movie.
Much better in that movie. Yeah. So yeah, they take a detour down an alley for some reason. They end up blocked by a broken down truck. The cop gets out to help the driver, who happens to be the Gorton's Fisherman, and he ends up hooked as well. Yep. Now, trapped in the back of the police car, Helen has to kick her way out the window as the killer approaches. She runs to the department store where Elsa is still working, and then her sister takes her sweet time getting to the door and lets her in at the last minute.
Can Elsa not see that there is a man right behind her dressed like the Gorton's Fisherman?
With a hook.
Yeah.
With a hook. Yeah.
Now, I will say, this is if you're going to watch this movie, watch it for this scene. Well, start with the fame moment and then watch through to the end of this scene.
Yeah, so just like the cop, Elsa doesn't take her seriously and ends up getting hooked as well, since the fisherman is already in the store. May as well, right?
And my note says, listen, movie, you can't have stakes if I don't give a shit about the single one of these characters.
Yeah. So sneaking around in the store full of spooky mannequins, one of them attacks Helen, and there's more running and screaming and pulsing suspense.
It's like Black Christmas. That's my favorite scene in Black Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
Except Black Christmas is a vastly superior film.
Much better, yeah. Refer to our episode on Black Christmas. It's a good one. There's more evasions, more of the fisherman walking when he should be running. And then cornered in the spooky mannequin room above the store, Helen leaps out the window and escapes. And then running down
Which
an alleyway.
Which is also a scene from Scream 2. When she climbs out the window and he fucking throws her into the whatever, down on the ground or whatever.
That, he must have done been like, you know what, I might as well just reuse this stuff in these rewrites.
It feels like nobody wrote this movie. Much like it feels like nobody directed this movie.
Yeah.
It's like they directed themselves while they were acting.
So yeah, now she's running down an alleyway full of barrels and boxes perfectly situated to make you think she's getting away when the killer is conveniently hidden. And she's mere feet from the 4th of July parade when she's attacked in a pile of tires and finally hooked.
And for some reason, there's a parade going by and nobody notices a 6.5 foot tall Gorton's Fisherman fighting Buffy the Vampire Slayer in an alley, a well-lit alley.
Right. Meanwhile, Julie is back on the internet doing research when she realizes that the girl killed in the car accident with Egan was the daughter of a local fisherman, and she starts putting 2 and 2 together. So she runs through the parade as Helen is getting killed to tell Ray what she found. She thinks that David Egan was killed by a dude named Ben Willis, and then they killed Ben Willis as he was leaving the crime scene. But they didn't really kill him because he's up and running around the town with a hook.
And that is the most convoluted shit I've ever heard.
Oh my God. My Lanta.
Like you needed an hour and a half just to get to that.
Yeah. So now while they're talking, Julie notices the name of Ray's boat, Billy Blue.
Dun, dun, dun.
And assumes that he's the killer despite the perfectly reasonable motive and connection that she just turned up. So she runs away as he chases her, and then some dude on the docks clotheslines Ray as they run and has her get on the boat.
And then he says, "Easy, child."
Easy, child.
And I thought,
yes,
why is he talking to her like a 17th century monk?
Right. So the boat takes off as Julie finds a wall inside the boat that's like a shrine to Susie Willis. Our mysterious man reveals himself to be the killer, stalks around the boat with a hook.
Yeah, he's at one point when he pulls the hook out, there's this inexplicable kind of like shink noise that I believe is diegetic.
Yeah.
It's like pulling a sword from a sheath, but it's a hook that he pulls from I don't know where.
All right, it's like when anytime anybody in a movie has a shotgun, they're constantly racking rounds, even though they don't have to. Yeah. So she makes some attempts to defend herself with a flare gun, but the sudden movement of the boat knocks it overboard.
She is terrible at this. She is just, as final girls go, she's the worst.
Yeah, she really is.
She's bumbling around this boat.
Meanwhile, Ray takes a small boat out to the final boss fight boat, and they tangle a bit while Julie hides. Ray is eventually knocked overboard, but catches a loose rope in the water to hang on, and eventually he climbs back on.
This is all very laborious.
Julie hides in the refrigerated hold where the dead bodies of her friends are kept.
Apparently all this ice is gelatin.
Right, yeah. They don't look very cold at all. They look like plastic ice cubes.
Like it had to be firm enough that she could walk on it?
Yeah. So, yeah, she's about to climb out when Ben Willis throws the hatch open. Now, he's about to kill her, but Ray swings some rigging at him, which knocks him out for a few seconds. And, of course, he gets up and attacks Julie again. Looks like he's about to kill her, but the swinging hook causes his arm to get caught up in the ropes.
Oh, my God.
Now, Ray hits some switches, which lift Ben off the ground, and when he reaches the pulley at the top of the rope, his hand is chopped off.
This is like some real mousetrap level design.
This is like Rube Goldberg boss fight.
It really...
They leave. This leaves him to swing wildly, eventually dumping his body in the water, leaving us wide open for a sequel.
Yeah, you know what this is? This is what is that? Resident Evil 2, where the giant guy just constantly stalks around after you, and you can't do anything about it.
Right. Oh, that's Resident Evil 3. Yeah. So after they're back on the docks and the police are doing police things, Ray explains that the guilt was killing him about David Egan, so he went out to his sister's place pretending to be a friend of David's in order to learn more about him.
Oh, this speech between them at the end is it is painful.
Excruciating.
And he says, "No one gets me like you do." And she says, "I understand your pain." And my note says, "Jesus Christ."
Like, fuck you both. Julie is mysteriously relieved of her guilt because they didn't actually kill anyone. If you think about it, all they did was run a dude over, conspire to dump his dead body, and then followed through on this plan, whether he was dead or not.
That's the thing about this, is that it doesn't actually matter if you killed someone or didn't, because you thought that you did and you did the wrong thing every single time.
What a relief. What a relief. We didn't actually kill anybody. So the police assure them that the body will eventually turn up, and then Ray and Julie reunite, and she goes back to school with a new lease on life.
Yeah.
So now, a year later, Julie is about to hit the showers at school. She's now on the dean's list. Someone has mysteriously left a note for her, which makes her nervous.
Because she's on the phone again. She's on the phone.
Oh,
with Ray
God,
again.
yes.
And
I love you. I love you more. No, you hang up.
I love you more. And my note says, "My God, this conversation is so gay."
It's the worst.
Oh.
So when she sees this note, it has the same sort of handwriting as the killer, but it turns out just to be an invitation to a frat party.
What I love about this moment is she's about to, it's clearly like the morning or something, and she's about to get in the shower, but she has a full face of makeup and her hair has been styled fully. It's incredible.
Yeah. So when she returns to the showers, she now finds the place just steamy as all hell. And written on the mirrors are the words, "I still know." She looks around all spooked, and when she turns back, the Gorton's fisherman leaps through the mirror at her. Cut to black. Roll credits. Finally. Okay, so here's the thing. There's an alternate ending to this, which is somehow way fucking worse. Julie back at school is chatting on the internet again with Ray, and it's all that "I love you more, I know I love you more" stuff. And when she receives a letter with similar handwriting to the "No, I know what you did" letters, it's the same misdirect with the invitation, but then she gets an ominous email from an unknown sender which says, "I know what you did last summer." And then she looks shocked. Cut to black.
I don't know which is worse.
I prefer the one that we got because at least it's like fucking, it realizes how stupid it is, but that's
at least
fine.
they give us the Carrie ending.
Yeah. We get a little thing. Cause this is, you can look this alternate ending up on YouTube. It's fucking dumb, but yeah.
I'm going to say this again. Scream is a fantastic movie. It is a groundbreaking film.
It breathed life back into this genre that was
really
conclusively dead in the 90s.
And, lest we be accused of curmudgeonliness, I loved these movies at the time. I was the exact age that was appropriate for them. I look back at them now and I think this culture was fucking toxic as hell.
Yeah.
It was
like
awful.
I every now and then, like it really is. It's a symptom of the 90s, like as a decade, but not just like particularly the second half of the 90s. We were drifting into this weird sort of cultural dead zone where like there was no sort of fertile creative period that at least came with the 80s. Like, there was like music that everybody remembers and tons of like horror movies, good and bad, that are very memorable. But like this period is just a fucking wasteland with a couple of standout hits.
But it masks, the thing about the 80s was it's a lot like now in that we all knew what it was. Nobody tried to pretend it wasn't what it was. The 90s is very different in that everyone tried to pretend that, hey, things are great again.
Yeah.
And they really fucking weren't.
No.
And so I guess if you were like 11 or 10 and you saw shit like this and you were like, no, I remembered it was so fun. It really wasn't. It was a fucking horrible time.
Right. Like, and just to really kind of speak to the creative vacancy of the 90s, like, not long after this, everybody's swing dancing and shit. Like, it's a very weird decade.
Yeah. Like, everybody is just grasping for whatever felt good, even though things were just kind of vacant and empty. And that is what this movie is. There is not much plot to this. It's based on a book that they just kind of took the skeleton of and did nothing to build out. They gave us incredibly wooden characters. The acting is not very good. The writing is god awful. The direction is terrible. Like, this is an objectively bad movie. Now, do I enjoy watching it? Yeah, every now and then it's fun to kind of put on in the background because it's a slasher from a time that I was very much a teenager in. But, unless you were characters like this, these sort of like white upper class characters, life was difficult.
Yeah. And like, I mean, maybe that's the thing is like, I was right on the cusp of the age group of this. Like because I was going to college and shit. I was a little older than them, but like, even at the time, like I did not identify with these characters at all. Cause like my thing was like, I was more like the people in the fucking craft than I was.
Yeah. And now see, The Craft is a great movie from the 90s. I mean, it feels very 90s, but
it's super dated, but I still enjoy that movie quite a bit.
This is this is a hollow film. This feels like a film that was made by AI. It's just like, here are basic stereotypes. Here is a skeletal plot. Here is just a bunch of music from the 90s with no particular thread or theme. There's nothing that runs through this movie that explains any of it. It is just like, here are tropes, here are stereotypes, here is slasher movie A.
Yeah.
This is not a good movie.
No, it's definitely an evidence of like the way that like when Halloween dropped and all of a sudden everybody was like, holy shit, there's a lot of money to be made. Like everybody clamored to make their own. And that was definitely the case with Scream, because Scream hit and everybody was like, oh shit, we need to make a slasher movie. And the same sort of thing happened where like each successive sort of riff, each cash-in that came along after the others was just a little worse than the one before it.
Yeah, you're going to get, after this, what do we get? We get Urban Legends. We get Valentine.
Yep.
There really weren't a lot. There was the Scream sequels.
And the Scream sequels are shit by part 3.
The second one is good. The rest of them are fucking terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and you can come at me, internet, if you want to, but like, these movies are not good. This is a terrible time for movies. And it's I think, in large part because it is a lot like that era in the 80s where everyone's just like, I don't know, just make a fucking movie. It doesn't matter. But like, this is the worst of them because there is nothing here. There is no creativity. There is nobody exercising their craft. Like, you could look, I mean, I guess the best thing I can say is John Debney's score for this movie is actually pretty good. That's about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I'm glad we're past this one because, good God, I struggled with this one a little bit. So, you son of a bitch. So, bearing all that in mind, hey, what is next?
Well, we are coming back in 2 weeks. Bring Me the Axe, episode 50, and we are putting the fucking lotion in the basket. It is Silence of the Lambs. You chose this one, not me.
Yeah, no, that's a milestone, and I figured like let's do a good one because there is a discussion to be had about where this falls in with horror. Yeah. I personally very, very adamantly believe that Silence of the Lambs, I don't give a shit what the fucking Academy says, it is a horror movie top to bottom.
I'm gonna fight you.
Okay. So yeah, be back in a week as we take on Masters of the Universe with 99 Cent Rental, and be back in 2 as we celebrate our 50th episode with Silence of the Lambs.